Hello and welcome to this week's LTV News, Information and Sports Desk. First of all, this week we'd like to start off and thank all those who supported the LTV fundraiser in the Lana Bar in Ballinagree last weekend. It was a huge success, a very big crowd turned up, and to all those who sponsored items and who donated gifts for the night, we say a very, very special thank you. It was a huge success, and we've been told by the organisers that there's a lot of fundraising event taking place in Roylan on Saturday the 8th of March. We will have more about that next week in our programme. Also, as you're aware, in June of this year, the Special Olympics are being held in Ireland, and Macroom will be playing host to the Iranian team. And last week, the Macroom Martin Ferme presented a cheque for €330 to the Macroom Host Town Committee, proceeds of a quiz which they held recently. Again, we'd like to thank them for that donation. Also, on Saturday night next, that's the 1st of March, Royland Boxing Club are holding a boxing exhibition in the Victoria Hotel Macroom. There will be boxers from Dublin, Waterford and Cork. And we'd like now to just show you a snippet of one of the Royland boxers in action recently at a boxing match which was held in Kanturk.
Youth 154 kilos. D. Barrett of Royland versus T. McGrath of St. Coleman's. Seconds up, round one. Seconds out. Round 2. Seconds out. Third and final round. contest, ladies and gentlemen, by unanimous decision in the red corner.
Hello and welcome to this week's LTV News Information and Sports Desk. First of all, this week we'd like to start off and thank all those who supported the LTV fundraiser in the Lana Bar in Ballinree last weekend. It was a huge success, a very big crowd turned up, and to all those who sponsored items and who donated gifts for the night, we say a very, very special thank you. It was a huge success, and we've been told by the organisers that there's a lot of fundraising event taking place in Roylan on Saturday the 8th of March. We will have more about that next week in our programme. Also, as you're aware, in June of this year, the Special Olympics are being held in Ireland, and Macroom will be playing host to the Iranian team. And last week, the Macroom Martin Ferme presented a cheque for €330 to the Macroom Host Town Committee, proceeds of a quiz which they held recently. Again, we'd like to thank them for that donation. Moving on to Ballavona, the Culture Centre in Ballavona. They are having a music of flute and fiddle playing from Clare. That's on Friday the 7th of March at 8:30 p.m. in the Cultural Centre Ballavona, and those there taking part will be PJ Crowley, Carmel Conlan and Jim Conlan. That's the Cultural Centre Ballavona on Friday the 7th of March at 8:30. As you all know, Lent is coming up, and the stations in Macroom will commence in the country areas and the town areas over the next week, and I'd just like to give you the country station for Saturday the 1st of March. This is at 10 a.m. and it's Coolcore and Slaveen, and the station will be held in Eileen and Dan Murphy's. And on the town station, starting on next Monday, March the 3rd, the station that night will be Gurtin Roo Street North, Glyn Park, the Glinties, Sally Gardens, the Hermitage and Millbrook. On Tuesday the 4th of March, the stations will be in the area of Gurtin Roo Street South, Killarney Road and Ceylon Weirs. And on Wednesday the 5th of March, Masseytown, O'Connor Park, Ardnagrania and Fairfield. And on Thursday the 6th of March, Castle Street, North Square, South Square, Middle Square and West Square. The Brewery Gap Cinema, this is showing on Friday the 28th of February, Saturday the 1st of March and Monday the 3rd of March at 8:30 p.m. The film is Rabbit Proof Fence and is 12 PG. Now in the Brewery Gap Theatre for the coming week, on Tuesday the 4th, Wednesday the 5th and Thursday the 6th of March, St. Mary's Secondary School present Applause is the name of the show. It's on at 8 p.m. each night, and on Wednesday the 5th of March there's a matinee at 3 p.m. Tickets are available from the box opposite the Brewery Gap. Now, on Friday the 7th of March, Saturday the 8th of March, and Sunday the 9th of March, this is the Star Makers. They present Joseph and his amazing Technicolor coat. All these shows are on Friday, March the 7th and Saturday, March the 8th are at 8 p.m. And the Sunday show on March the 9th is at 3 p.m. And tickets for this are also available at the box office in the Brewery Gap. Moving on to sport for this week, we have soccer results, AUL. This is the Premier A, Macroom 1, Kilnumney 5. Division 3 League, Macroom 1, Ballinhassig 5. And Under 17 League, Macroom 0, Dunbar Celtic 8. In the Under-14 Schoolboys League, Macroom 4, Lakewood 0. In the Under-12 Schoolboys League, Macroom 1, Bandon 2. Fixtures for the coming weekend. This is on Saturday, March the 1st in the Division 3 League. Macroom versus City Wanderers at 3 p.m. in Macroom. And the Under-17 League, Macroom versus Tramore Athletic at 2:30 p.m. On Sunday, March the 2nd, in the Premier A League, it's Macroom versus Park United at 3 p.m. in Macroom. The Macroom Soccer Lotto this week, the jackpot was at €1,800. There was no winner, and the winning numbers were 4, 9, and 27. And the €70 prize went to Noel Kaler of Dancockery Place. West Cork soccer results, Under-18 League, played last weekend. Riverside Athletic 3, Kilmichael Rovers 1. Beamish Division 2 League, Lisarda 2, Cara Celtic 2. Fixtures for the coming weekend, Under-18 League on Saturday, March the 1st. It's Bunratty versus Kilmichael at 3:30 p.m. On Sunday, March the 2nd, the 2nd Division League, Lisarda versus Drumree at 11 a.m. in Lisarda. And the AIB Shield, Grand Celtic versus Lawyer at 11 a.m. in Clondrohid. In the Premier Division Cup, Bunratty take on Leaside at 2:30 p.m. Moving on to JAA results for last weekend. In the Intermediate Football League, Macroom won 9, Glenvin 12 points. The KLR Shield Football League, Newcestown won 7, Neverbarn won 7. The Musgrave Junior A Football League, Division 1. Ballingeary 12 points, Kilmurray 6 points. Killamatra won 7, Inniscarra won 7. Ivaleary 9 points, Grinna won 10. Kilmichael 9 points, Ballincollig 2-5. Division 2 League, Macroom Nord 4, Clownroad 4-8. Canavee 1-5, Dunamore 2-7. Bullock 2-8, Aerogue 2-9. Now fixtures for this coming weekend. On Saturday, March the 1st, the 2002 Junior B Football League final will take place, and it's Ballingeary versus Downellee in Carrigadrohid at 3 p.m. Also on Saturday, the Junior A League, Ballincollig versus Kilmurray in Ballincollig at 4 p.m. On Sunday, March the 2nd, first teams playing at home. Division 1 League, Inniscarra versus Ahina at 12 o'clock, Killamatra versus Ivaleary at 12 o'clock, and Ballingeary versus Kilmichael at 12 o'clock. In the Division 2 League, Dunamore versus Blarney at 12 o'clock, Neverbarn versus Canavee at 12 o'clock, Aerogue versus Macroom at 11:30, and Ahina versus Clondrohid at 3 p.m. Now the Macroom GAA Lotto this weekend, the jackpot was €1,000. The winning numbers were 15, 16 and 24. There was no winner. The €70 prize went to Marion O'Leary of St. Coleman's Park, Macroom, and next week's jackpot is €1,150. Now the Macroom GAA Club Development Draw, the last draw will take place on next Friday night, that's February the 28th, in TP Cotter's Bar, Macroom at 9:30 p.m. And we will bring you the results of that draw in our programme next week. I'd also like to remind you that Pitch and Putt on next Sunday morning in Kilmichael, the West Cork League takes place, where Macroom will take on Garristown. Tee-off is at 9:30 and again at 2 p.m. On Tuesday, in the Scout Hall, some scouts were invested, and we went along to take some shots of the events for the night, and we will show you some of those in our programme this evening. That's all I have for you this week. Again, I'd like to thank you for watching, and as I say, if you have any news, information, or you want something mentioned in our programme, please contact me, Pat O'Connell, at Railway View Macroom. Thank you.
Buddy, they didn't get a copy of this. That's a copy of this.
On my honour, with the grace of God, I, Simon Henley Willis, promise to do my best, to love, honour and serve Christ my King, His Holy Church and His Blessed Mother, to help my neighbour at all times and to live the Scout law.
On my honour, with the grace of God, I, Victor O'Callaghan, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Christ my King, His Holy Church and His Blessed Mother, to help my neighbour at all times and to live the Scout law.
On my honour, with the help of God, with the help of grace of God, I, Sean O'Connor, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Christ my King, His Holy Church and His Blessed Mother, to help my neighbour at all times and to live the Scout law.
On my honour, with the help, grace of God, I, Tom Barrett, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Christ my King, His Holy Church and His Blessed Mother, to help my neighbour at all times and keep the Scout law.
The Lord be with you. And also with you. Let us pray. God, by whose word all things are made holy, bless these neckerchiefs, berets and badges. Grant that those who wear them may be always mindful of what they symbolize and of the ideals to which they are called through their membership of your family and of the Scout movement. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
And as we have Lucy here, I would like her to present the Leadership Award to Tommy Lillis. Now, we're not quite finished yet. Maybe our new unit leader will do the honours here. The two APLs, the two heroes at the bottom, have been waiting quite a while for their assistant patrol leader stripes. So John Healy, maybe he'll come forward if he can put his tagging and so on. Well done, John. And I hope that she enjoyed the cup of tea. Thank you.
We are just after the investiture of 10 new Scouts here in the Scout Hall in Cork Street, Macroom. And here with me is Martin Thompson and Dennis O'Leary. What exactly is your position in the Scouts, Martin?
Well, in the Macroom Scouts, I've been the Scout leader for the last 2 years. We reactivated the Scout troop about 2 years ago. Now, might I say that previous to this, Macroom had a very strong Scout unit. They had Scout troop, they had Ventures, they had Cubs or Machiev, and I think they also had Beavers, which would have been the full range of ages that they would have been catering for. They have fine premises here and a fine store, well equipped out and so on. But like any other organisation, I suppose there is a time comes when the people that are organising, move off, and for a while the troop or the unit got weak and was very nearly closed. Now, there was a lady by the name of Anne Murphy, who has since passed on, God rest her, and she asked me at one stage, would I give a hand with the Macroom troop? So I said I would. She said that she could supply a couple of assistant leaders, but for some reason or another they didn't materialise. Well, there was one girl, all right, Mary Kate O'Keefe, came along for a while and she was excellent, but she was also training the local ladies football team, and she couldn't, I suppose, do the two jobs at the same time. So for a while we were operating with Marie Horgan, who was able to come once in every 3 weeks. She was working in Bantry and it was rather difficult for her to attend every meeting. But at the early part of this year, Jack Collins, who was a stalwart of the organisation in Macroom since its inception, called a parents' meeting, and after a number of false starts, we eventually got 4 or 5 people who were quite willing to come along and be trained as leaders. Dennis O'Leary here is taking over as unit leader. He has also last week done a training course for scouting in Tralee, and we have a lady by the name of Chris Barrett. We have another man by the name of Kevin Lynch, and Marie Horgan as well. She is now, practically taking over as scout leader, and hopefully now, after the investiture tonight, we have 17 scouts, which is a reasonably strong troop. And now that the lads are trained and that they have been invested, well, hopefully we can increase our numbers and maybe get a couple of extra patrols.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Dennis, you will be preparing for camp now when the weather gets fine in the summertime. Now, transportation, how are you going to get over the problem of transporting your stuff?
Well, if it's a local camp, we would actually be relying on the parents to give us a hand, maybe to drop the lads out the camp or whatever. What we're also discussing as well, if we can camp fairly locally, that we could actually get the boys to travel by bicycle, and have a hike that way, Other than that, it actually depends really on where we decide to go,
So you'd always welcome the support of parents for transport and even for coming in here to make a cup of tea or speaking to them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, scouting is very much dependent on the input of not only parents but adults as well. Any adult who is interested in scouting, it could happen that they may not have children themselves, or there could be people who might be ex-scouts. For instance, Kevin Lynch now is actually doing his leaving cert this year, but he has very kindly come along and he's assisted us as well, which is fantastic. Just look at the roll books lately that I got from Jackie Collins as well. It's unbelievable, the list of names that were on that list of people who were actually in scouting here in Macroom previously, and we would actually be delighted if, even if 1 or 2 of those people came back maybe and found a bit of time to give us a hand, or even to give us a bit of advice as well, because with any organisation, the more input we have, the better,
Thank you very much, Dennis.
Sorry. As well as that, Donal, hopefully in the near future, we intend to start off a beaver colony, and also to get the Cub Scouts back in action again. Now, we've got a few volunteers for the Cub Scouts, but if there's anyone out there who feel that they can give an hour, maybe an hour and a half a week for the beavers and perhaps the cubs as well, or even if they want to help out with the scouts that you see here tonight, we'll be very glad to have your assistance. And as I said earlier, if you want to contact me, you can do so by ringing 026 432 32, or you can contact Marie or Chris or even Martin or Jackie Collins. As well as that, you can email us on macroomscouts@aircom.net. And as I said, if you are passing here any Tuesday night between 7:30 and 9, you're very welcome to come in for a chat, and we'll show you what's involved. So thanks very much, Donal.
Lucy O'Sullivan, they tell me, you're the commissioner.
That's right.
For, and that would take in...
It It's Cloyne West, and it takes in Kanturk, Mallow, Macroom, Blarney, Rapecan, and that's it. So we have, and then every month we do an activity for all the region. So for Cubs, Scouts, whatever. So there.
And how many nights a week now does it take you?
Well, some nights, some weeks it can be every night. Phone calls, things like that. Other weeks it might be one night a week. And then the odd occasion I have to call to the units and see how they're getting on. But basically I'm there for the unit leaders. I listen to their problems and give them a hand when needs be.
Are you attached to any particular unit in our patrol in your own home area?
I used to be attached to Blarney. I was the venture leader in Blarney for several years, but when I went on to the National Executive Board for Scouting, so I had to choose. So I had to either stay in Ventures or go to Dublin every 2 months for meetings. So I went to Dublin instead. And now I've kind of just concentrated my time on the region for the meantime.
How is the executive financed?
Well, each unit has different fundraising activities for their census and whatever, and money goes to the executive board every year. It's basically for insurance, but a lot of our finance comes from sponsorship or different grants, you know.
Are you happy with the situation now in Macroom that it has begun again and we had a great investiture?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. It was last year, I suppose, we were getting worried that Macroom were going to finish. But now that they're back and going, it's great, especially for young people. You know, we were always hoping someone, for years we've had the problem of trying to get a leader to stay in Macroom. And Anne Murphy, the former unit leader, was brilliant, you know, really dedicated. But now, I'd say she would have loved to have seen Scouting going again in Macroom. It's brilliant. You know, it really gives a boost to the region and to Macroom. And it would be great if other units within the region now would, you know, get some more new scouts. You know, I think a lot of the units have gone through, you know, the dilemma of scouting going down. But every few years it seems to come back again. There's a new set of young people around, you know.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Thank you. I'm now speaking with Jackie Collins, who is the father of scouting since 1977 in Macroom. Jackie, are you happy with this situation tonight?
I'm very, very, very happy, Donald. I thought for a while in last September that we'd be closing the door and writing the headquarters because we hadn't the unit council, we hadn't the finance committee, and we'd only Martin, only for the goodness of Martin and Marie Horgan, as she was at the time. You know, there was nobody to do things. It wasn't fair to the young lads. But thank God, I think we've turned the corner. We have 3 new leaders. We have a new unit leader, a new scout leader, an assistant scout leader. And they're fresh from their first training course in Tralee at the weekend. So I think, and we have, you know, there are other people have agreed to get involved as leaders. So I would hope that by next month we'd start up the Cub section. That would be catering for boys from 8 to 10 and a half. And, you know, I mean, the young lads are interested if we have leaders to look after them. You know?
I suppose you couldn't beat scouting for formation of character, apart altogether from the skills they learn. This comradeship.
The happiest days of my youth that I remember were the days I spent scouting at home in Clonakilty. From about 1942 to 48 until I left home, I made fantastic friendships. We had some fantastic summer camps, you know, that you never forget. You'll never forget. And as I say, I think somebody that stays with it comes out definitely with a good character. And, you know, it helped me through life. You know, so I always, when I was asked to get involved here in 1977, I felt I owed, you know, that I had got so much satisfaction that I should put something back in. But I didn't realise, and being here 27 years later, like. But what harm, I've enjoyed it, and I still, you know, but I'm definitely taking a back seat from, you know, there are good leaders there now, and I'll only call in occasionally now to say hello and see how things are going, you know.
Thank
So
you very
that is
much,
good.
Jack. Thank you very much. We have two young scouts who are invested here tonight. What is your name?
Gillian Sheen.
And where are you from, Billy?
Killian.
Oh, sorry, Killian.
Yeah. The Carrignimma.
And what are you now tonight that you weren't this morning?
I'm Scout.
And your name is?
David Keller.
Where are you from?
Clonroad.
And what are you now that you weren't this morning?
A Scout.
And what happened tonight?
I became a proper Scout.
You became a proper scout?
Yep.
Okay. Very well done. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Up Clonroad!
Would you? What is your name?
David Cronin.
And where are you from, David?
Up by Gertine Road.
Okay.
Millbrook.
And have you many more of your pals here in the Scouts?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. 2 or 3.
And when do you collect more of them?
Sorry?
What class are you in school?
I'm in 5th class.
5th class?
5th class, yeah.
And how many from 5th class are in your scouting unit?
1 only. 1.
Oh, you must get more.
Yeah.
What are you now tonight that you weren't this morning?
Sorry?
What are you tonight that you were not this morning?
I'm happier. I'm in the Scouts better.
Okay, so you're a proper scout.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, good man.
Okay.
Well done.
Thanks.
Well, that ends the 2003 investiture here in the Scout Hall. And to complete the connection with the past, we would like to show you a few minutes of the 1988 investiture in the same hall. Good night. Thank you very much.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. The Lord be with you. And good evening, everybody. And my dear brothers here in the troop, and sister, Reverend Sister, and Mr. Collins, and all the parents and family members that are gathered here this evening. I give you a very heartfelt warm welcome here this evening. And it is my body which will be given up for you. I should bow your heads now in adoration. When supper was ended, Jesus took the cup that was filled with wine. He thanked you, gave it to his friends, and said, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it. This is the cup of my blood, the blood of the new and everlasting covenant. It will be shed for you and for all, so that sins may be forgiven. Do this in memory of me."
On my honour, with the help of God, I, Seamus Maxwini, promise to do my best to love, honour, serve Jesus my Lord, his church, and Mary his mother, and to help my neighbours at all times and to live the Scout law.
Congratulations.
On my honour, with the help of God, I, John McAuliffe, promise to my best to love, honour, serve Jesus my Lord, his church, and Mary his mother, to help my neighbours at all times to live the Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I start to promise to do my best to love, honour, and serve Jesus my Lord, his church, and Mary his mother, to help my neighbour at all times and to live the Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Roy Keller, promise to do my best and to love, honour Jesus my Lord, and his church, his Mary his mother, to help my neighbours at all times and to live the Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Eugene Shield, promise to do my best to love, honour, and serve Jesus my Lord, his church, Mary his mother, and to help my neighbours at all times to live the Scout law.
On my honour, with the help of God, I, James Baldwin, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church and Mary his mother, to help my neighbours all times and to live Scout law.
Congratulations.
On my honour, with the help of God, I, Kevin Long, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church and Mary his mother, to help my neighbours all times and to live Scout law. On my honour, I, John O'Redden, on my honour, and with help of God, I, John O'Redden, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church and Mary's mother, to help my neighbour all times and to live Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Shane promise to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church and Mary's mother, to love my neighbours all times and to live Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Anna McKenna, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church, Mary his mother, to help my neighbours all times and to live the Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Brian Murphy, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church, Mary his mother, to help my neighbour all times to live the Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Liam O'Brien, promise to do my best to love, serve and honour Jesus my Lord, his church, Mary his mother, to live, to help my neighbours all times and live Scout law. On my honour, with the help of God, I, Henry Murphy, promise to do my best to love, honour and serve Jesus my Lord, his church, Mary his mother, to help my neighbours at all times and to live the Scout law.
Before we finish, I would like to thank Dan Joe Keller of Local TV for coming here tonight and recording this. Now
Good evening. Coming next on LTV is a programme which was recorded last summer when Danjo and myself paid a visit to the home of John Barry near Mill Street. John has spent hours on end restoring old items of horse-drawn agricultural machinery, which he has recovered from drains, ditches, hedgerows, etc. For those of you watching tonight who worked with or remember horses working in the farmyard or out in the fields, I'm sure there will be some nostalgic moments for you in this programme. Welcome here to Lochabawn and Mill Street to John Barry and his wife Anne and son Dan. And John is a man who has put an awful lot of time into restoring old horse-drawn machinery from a bygone era in agriculture.
Yeah, right.
We're starting now with the spring cycle in agriculture, and first we're starting with the ploughs. I have here 3 ploughs. This one here has a little bit of history attached to it. It was bought for £16 in Mallow and transported by rail to Mill Street. And it's a Pierce P15, which would have been used in competition ploughing as well as ploughing on the land ordinarily. And there are markings here, precise markings 1 inch apart, for adjustments to be made for the width of sod, etc. By moving this wheel in, your sod became narrower, and the small wheel then can be adjusted up and down, for depth, for the depth of the sod. This is a sock plough also. It has a sock and a coulter ahead of it for splitting the ground, whereas the other 2 ploughs are steel bar ploughs, and they have disc cutters. A ploughman with 2, these ploughs were usually pulled by 2 horses, and a ploughman and horses would walk about 8 or 9 miles in a day at an average of about 2 miles an hour. Next then we have the harrows. At the back we have a balk harrow, which was used for breaking up very rough sods and so on. And then we have front here, then we have a spring harrow, which was used for preparing the soil for the sowing of the seed. Make a good seed bed for sowing. And then, of course, after the harrowing and when the seed bed had been prepared, we've come to the corn drill for sowing the seed. The seed went down along tubes from the seed box down to coulters, which made a rut in the ground to receive the seed. Now earlier we had seen the plough for ploughing the single board plough. Now we're onto a double board plough section, which was, these ploughs were used for opening drills for potatoes and are for turnips and mangels. And after the drills were opened, manure was drawn out from the yard by horse and butt. We'll show you a butt a bit later on in this film. And after the manure had been put out in and the potatoes put into the drills, they were closed. The drills were closed again by this double board plough. And the drills then as well, of course, for the mangels and the turnips. We have here a selection of machines that were used for the mangels and turnips. Pierce of Wexford seemed to be the main maker of those, although there's one here in front of me which was made by McKinsey's of Cork. Now, just to show you how these machines worked, they were pulled by a horse and they went along the drills. The seed was put into the bowl. Right. The brushes inside then brushed the seed down a hole here, and there was a little window here for the man operating the seeder to see the seed going down. Now in this particular model it's a more modern one, and there's a glass on the little window where you can see the seed passing down. And again, yeah. Now in this one you can see the seed going down, And if you close down the little panel, there's glass on the panel, which you can see it going down. And there's also a dial here with different sizings in the holes through which the seed would pass. There's smaller ones for turnips, and the larger ones are for mangels. Now, of course, afterwards, then when the turnip seed starts to come up, there'll be weed seeds. Weeds would have come also, and this machine is a drill cleaner to clean the weeds off the sides of the drills. And moving along then to the cultivation of mangels and beet and turnips and so on. We had and for also between the lines of potatoes we had a scruffler, and as you can see here, these spades moved along the drills and freshened them up and made the earth fresh again. And they were adjusted, this one by a lever and the other two by a handle at the back. And after scruffling then, at the back there's a little 2-bore plough which was used for earthing up the drills again, the sides of the drills, after the scruffler had been used. Turnip machines. Very often a small pony or a donkey was used because they were tidier animals for that sort of work. Now here we have a selection of mowing machines. These machines were usually drawn by 2 horses and were used for mowing the meadows in May and June. And on my left here we have a Pierce number 8 made in County Wexford, and next we have one from the United States, from New York State, made by Walter A. Wood. Next we have an Albion made in England by the McGregor Company, and on the far right there we have another one from the USA again, made by McCormick. Right. Now here we have another Pierce machine, 2 in fact, one at the back as well. They're swat turners. Now the hay was, after the hay being mowed, it was left lying in lines or swats for 2 to 3 days, and then these machines would have been used to turn over the swat in order that the underside of it would be exposed to the sun and the wind. And now we have the potato sprayer, which was used for spraying the potatoes with a mixture of bluestone and washing soda in order to prevent the blight. Now this process could be done several times during the growing season, depending on weather conditions. We also have a picture of this particular machine in operation for you to see. Here now we have a selection of hay gathering implements for you to see working. Normally these implements will be pulled by a horse, but today we are using a tractor for demonstration purposes. Here we have a rake called a skeeter, which was used for ranging in the hay, and it just turned over now, as you will see. Just turned over like that and left the range and moved on, gathering the next range of hay. Here now we can see a hay sweep in operation, or tumbling paddy, as it was commonly known in this area. This was used for sweeping in the hay for making the wines of hay, and just raked it in like that, and then it's tumbled over, hence the name tumbling paddy. And then it went on again to gather up more hay again, to sweep more of it in. We've moved on here now a generation in the hay gathering business, and we'll see here a wheel rake being demonstrated for ranging in the hay. It's done a job similar to the job done by the skeeter in a previous era. It's operated by a foot pedal and a lever. Now, after the hay had been ranged in, if it wasn't fit to put it into large cocks or wines, it was made into small cocks, or crowers as they were known. And you see John here demonstrating how this was done. It was left like this for a couple of days then to make it more suitable for it to be put into the large cocks. Now we see the large one being made here, or wined. I see Sean here and John doing this job, and we see Dan here doing some raking with a hand rake. Now we see a sugan being made here by Anne, with John feeding in the material there at the base of the wind. Now we see it being put over the cock of hay, and it's being tied down at either side. See John tying it there. At the other side now Anne is doing a similar thing, and this will prevent the cock being blown away with the wind. And Dan is doing some combing down there with the rake on it as well. And we see Chap there taking a bit of interest. Now we have the hay car, or float as it was sometimes called. This was now it has come, and you will see now at the back how the ropes are joined together at the back. And the wind of hay was then winched on board the hay car using a ratchet system, as seen here being demonstrated by Dan.
Balo íar bhfuil lech féchana, ní raibh mé caintliú le fada agus bhí uignas orm ach bhí sanna gnáthach cuméigean ach péiscéad haman sa. I'm going to tell you a story tonight about a stone. Actually, it is that stone. That stone is a volcanic basalt rock, and it is dedicated to 190 orphan girls who arrived at that place, which is called Hobson's Bay, Williamstown, about 30 miles south of Melbourne City in Port Phillip. And they arrived there on the 6th of December after a 3-month journey from Plymouth. They were between 14 and 18 years of age. Now, they were sent out there under the Earl Grey immigration scheme, and they went voluntarily from the union workhouses. Now, the 191 people that were on the Kennaway ship, and this is a picture of the Kennaway ship from a drawing. They were sailing boats, and it took 3 months to get there. Wouldn't be the most comfortable. But apparently, the staff on board the ship did the best they could for the girls. Now, they were all girls, and they were promised that they would be given jobs as servants in houses when they got to Australia. The monument was put up in 1998 on the 150th anniversary of their arrival, and of course it is now known as the Famine Monument of Melbourne. Written on that side of it, it's a square plaque, is erected by public subscription and unveiled on the 6th of December 1998 by His Excellency Richard O'Brien, Ambassador of Ireland, in the presence of Councillor Brad Mattison Mayor on the 150th anniversary of the arrival in Hobson's Bay of 191 Irish orphan girls on the Lady Kennaway. Now, that is facing dawn on their summer solstice, the 21st of December. And on the other side, facing out the bay, facing towards the west, is this plaque. And that plaque reads, Ní hé dia a capariv an Obershaw. 'Twasn't God who was the cause of this work. In memory of 1 million people who died in Ireland during the Great Famine of 45 to 52, in praise of the courage of tens of thousands of dispossessed Irish who sailed to Hobson's Bay to build a new life, in sorrow for the dispossession of the Bunurong and Waywurong people, but in a spirit of reconciliation, in solidarity with all those who suffer hunger today. And on the day that the monument was unveiled, there were successors, descendants of those orphans who landed there, and also descendants of the Aborigine people who owned the land on which the monument is. Now, as I say, they were treated well on board ship, and in fact, when they arrived on board the ship, they were given a formidable list of clothing. It included 2 gowns, 2 flannel petticoats, 2 bedgowns, 6 shifts, 6 pairs of stockings, 1 shawl, 1 bonnet, 2 neck handkerchiefs, 1 collar, 1 pair of mitts, 2 pairs of shoes, 1 pair of stays, 2 towels, 2 combs, needles, thread, tape, scissors, 1 pair of sheets, 2 pounds of soap, 1 Bible, and a prayer book. Now, they were actually treated very well. And between the years 1848 and 1850, 4,175 orphan girls went out to Australia under this scheme. The scheme eventually was ended in 1850. It was opposed by especially the non-Catholic population of Melbourne, who felt that the whole thing was a plot to Catholicize Australia. What a hope. So it was continued, it was discontinued because of bigotry, really. Now, that is the monument, and as I say, it was a basalt volcanic rock estimated to be 700,000 years old, and on the foreshore of that bay there are thousands of rocks like that to protect the shore, because it's quite level there. Well, that's all I have for tonight. The next night I will tell you about the Macroom connection with that immigration scheme. Garamil Mahagriv.
Go chasing after you, or July's a pretty candle from a star And if there's going to be a life hereafter, and somehow I am sure there's going to be, I will ask my God to let me make my in that dear old land across the Irish Sea. I will ask my God to let me make my heaven in that dear old land across the Irish Sea. On your pals, this week I heard a little number called Mount Massey, the Flower of Macroom. So friends, come with me and stay, you will see the apples and cherries in bloom. And it's you'll and invite where I first saw the light in Mount Massey, the flower of Macroom. In the sweet summertime, when the weather was fine, what fun there would be at the game. The collies would smile as they sat on the stile, and the sweethearts their love tales relayed. When dancing was over, we would stroll in the park, each lad and his lassie in blue. And it's you'll and invite where I first saw the light in Mount Massey, the flower of Macroom. Come on, everybody. So friends, come with me and stay, you will see the apples and cherries in bloom. And it's you'll and invite where I first saw the light in Mount Massey, the flower of Macroom. And now I must roam far away from my home and cross over the wide raging sea, and leave friends behind, both loving and kind, and the cunning so dearly love me. Though fortune may smile far away from our eye, I'll be traded today with some clowns. And I stroll once again by that lovely domain in Mount Massey, the flower of Macroom. Here we go. So friends, come with me and stay, you will see the apples and cherries in bloom. And it's you'll I'll invite where I first saw the light in Mount Massey, the flower of Macroom. One more time. So friends, come with me and stay, you will see the apples and cherries in bloom. And it's you'll I'll invite where I first saw the light in Mount Massey, the flower of Macroom. Thank you very much indeed.
And song and then story, the memory of Pearson McBride, whose names are illumined in glory, it matters not long since have died. Forget not the voice of King Michael, those brave men so gallant and true, that fought beneath the green flag of Erin and put down red, white and blue. Here's to the boys of King Michael, who feared not the might of the foe. The day they marched into battle, they led all the black Indians low. On the 20th day of November, the town left the gun on the crew. They were sailing to cross the tenders, which nailed their right into their doom. They were on the road for Carmichael, but they never expected a shot. They were met by the boys of the column, who made a tear sweep of the dawn. The sun in the west it was sinking, but the eve of a cold winter's day, when the times we were wearily waiting, sailed into the spot where I lay. Over the hill went the echo, the peal of the rifle and gun. Again from the Harleys get tidings that the boys had killed Michael and won. Michael was theirs in the twilight, and high over Duncan renowned. Their banners in triumph were waving to show that the concert had gone. They gathered their rifles and made it, and left them the men so askew. They never go in till they haunted in the faraway Camperdown blue. Here's to the boys of Carrigan, those men so gallant and true. They fought the big flag of Erin and pulled down the wide and
Will you all take the floor for an opening words?
Oh, your palm trees waving high, all around your fertile shores. Adieu, you hills of Kerry, I never will see you more. Oh, why did I leave my home, and why did I cross the sea, and leave those small birds singing around your sweet Tralee? What a noble land the brave have departed from your shore. They've gone to fight the wars where the mighty cannon roar. Will they ever again return, or to see old Ireland free? I hear those small birds singing around your sweet Tralee. Will I ever see the shamrock, the sprig so fine and bright? Will I hear the cuckoos flying high o'er lonely Bannistrand? As I stand
Good night. Father Gabriel Burke here. Tonight I want to talk to you about a subject that is a particular problem to this country, and that is the manner of people inside church. Often at Mass, you see people constantly talking, and not only talking at the beginning or at the end, but right through. Imagine there are even people who are talking at the moment of consecration, the holiest time of the Mass, when the bread and wine is being turned into the body and blood of our Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ. When I was in school, we had a religion book called The Moral Life, and the whole basis of the book was that an alien comes from outer space, and he examines the human people, how they react, how they behave, to see what they are telling him, not by what they say, but by their behavior. It says a lot when we talk during Mass. It says, I don't believe what's going on here. I don't care what's going on here. I don't respect you people who are here. In short, it says, I don't give a damn. I'm reminded when I see people talking at Mass, the Jews and the Roman soldiers at the foot of Christ. It tells us in the Gospel that they laughed and mocked at him. And that's the same with those at Mass. And they will get the same punishment. If we really believe in what goes on at Mass, we would have some semblance of reverence when we go in. We would arrive at Mass a little early and leave a little late. We wouldn't be talking in the church either before or after Mass. We'd give a proper genuflection to Jesus in the tabernacle. And we'd say our prayers to prepare for this wondrous encounter with the risen Jesus in Holy Communion. You might think it's strange that people would talk at Mass, but I think it's more than strange. Minimally, it's very bad manners. But worse than that, it's a mortal sin. Because we're throwing God's love back into his face. We're throwing grace back at God. We're saying to God, I don't believe you're there. And that, in a way, is worse than what most people who don't go to Mass think. Because we're going through the action and the routine of going to Mass, but only as a facade, as an act of mimicry against God. And God will punish that at the end of time. So when we're preparing for confession, examine your conscience thoroughly. Have I spoken in church? Have I spoken during Mass? Have I deliberately talked about betting on horses or dogs? Have I talked about my neighbour, gossiped during Mass? In short, have I committed an act of blasphemy at the holy sacrifice of the Mass? This is Father Gabriel Burke saying, good night and God bless.
I used to frequent, traded out.
me all the beer was gone, so she could pay my student. I asked her, she answered me, such a customer, you're really fine and big, and it's no, they never let me say no, no, they never, no more, will I say, oh, no, never, no more time, and it's no. Famous for obvious reasons. The rain was rising above crystal fountain. The sun was declining. The need of the sea, where I strayed with my love over pure crystal fountain. And stand in the beauty of me, she was lovely and fair, like the rose of the sun. And yet was now our beauty alone. That was me, although it was the truth in her eyes. There was nothing that made me love Mary, the rose. She was lovely and fair, like the rose of the sun. And it was not our beauty alone that won me. Oh no, it was the truth in her eyes, never knowing that made me love Mary, the rose of the leaf. You fill up my senses, I'm up in the forest, I'm out in the sunshine, I walk in the rain, so in the desert, and the ocean. You fill up my senses, tell me again. Oh, let me love you. Let me give my life to you. Let me lay on the side. Let me walk. See the days when these patriots vision see by, and the night turns to flame that day. When my heart was alive as the wild wind that blows down the twilight, where we sport in the rain, in the breezy shade on the banks of my old lovely river. Where we sport in the rain, in the breezy shade on the banks of my old lovely river. Nice on this one, Saturday night, I got hurt. Me and five, the ocean, drop in the river and ride with you.